This is not a normal 4th of July. This is a new American declaration, an America First declaration, to make a new covenant with the freedom that was promised to carry us forward for the next 250 years. I want to continue this conversation with Congressman Stutzman of Indiana. Congressman, thank you so much for joining us. Just aside here, we are waiting for President Trump to begin the signing of that big, beautiful bill, and we will bring that to our viewers when it happens. But I wanted to get your feedback. Certainly, you're from a state that understands the economic pain that has been thrust upon us by the Biden administration all too well. Talk to us about what this bill means for the people that call Indiana home.
Well, Joe, happy Independence Day. And I tell you, after your commentary, I'm ready to run through another wall because you're spot on. We live in the greatest country in the world. And being from Indiana, the 3rd District, Northeast Indiana, which encompasses Fort Wayne and the surrounding area, I come from a district that has a lot of agriculture and a lot of manufacturing logistics. And as you were talking there during your commentary, I was just thinking about, Portland, Indiana. It's a city, mid-sized city, smaller, south of Fort Wayne. And I was visiting the school there a couple of weeks ago and talking with the school superintendent. And we were talking about when the school was built back in the 80s. And at that time, there were about 6,000 students in the school system. But over time, because of manufacturing leaving this part of the state, this part of the country, and now we've become known as the Rust Belt, they're now down to around 3,300 students, almost half of what they were back in the 80s. A lot of people have moved out of these wonderful all-American towns because of trade policy. And that's what President Trump, when I see him in Iowa, when I see him traveling around the country, whether it's Indiana or any other state that is a producing state, and he sees that and hears that, and then he goes back to Washington and he goes around the world and he's fighting for the American individual and the American dream. I'm inspired by that. And I think that that's what we're seeing today is stronger trade policy, tax policy that we passed in the big, beautiful bill yesterday, and then also on the regulatory side. And those are the 3 legs of the stool that are going to make America great again.
One of the main things that people know about President Trump, his stance on illegal immigration, when he came down that escalator back in 2015, seems like 10 lifetimes ago, and famously said, either we have a country or we don't. That starts with border security. The big, beautiful bill, it also includes about $30 billion for ICE alone. I want to put this in perspective for the audience here, because to your point, right, there are many issues with people coming into our country unfettered. One, we don't know who they are. We haven't vetted them. We know for a fact, we've heard congressional testimony that there are sleeper terrorist cells within our country. That is not disputed. And yet at the same time, there's also the economic impact of individuals coming to our country in the millions that are using our social services, but also working in this country illegally. Have you seen that in your state as well, Congressman?
Oh, absolutely. And, I mean, in a lot of cases, whether it's manufacturing or agriculture, we've seen that. And, and in some places, you can't find labor to fill some of the agricultural jobs, whether it's detasseling corn or whether it's working in a meat processing facility. And so there is some demand for that. But I'll tell you what, what I see is that there is a resurgence of interest in manufacturing, especially, and I think it's because of President Trump's policies with tariffs. When you know that you're going to go out and work your tail off to build a business in manufacturing, but you're competing with China and they're beating you every day of the week because they have different trade or they have different policies than what we do here in the United States, it gets discouraging. And then you can't pay labor like you'd like to. You can't get ahead and build the company the way that you'd like to because of the trade policies. And that's where I think this is critical for manufacturing and for agriculture in the middle of the country, flyover country, because if we have somebody looking out for us against China, Mexico, other countries that are really eating our lunch right now, it's going to be a new day in the Midwest and other parts of the country as well.
Well, I mean, I think to that point specifically, right? What is that thread that ties together President Trump's crusade against birthright citizenship, ties together that with what he is trying to do with our border security, ties that together with what he's done with the big, beautiful bill to make sure that we can try to stop the Chinese Communist Party from ripping us off? It all starts with a centralized premise that the American inheritance that was promised is under attack. And so to me, when I sit there, we saw House Leader, Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. I mean, he spoke on the floor. I mean, there's that old saying, I watched television until television went off. He kept talking after television had gone off. 8 hours and 44 minutes. I want to get a clip of that just to get your reaction.
Because it was totally unacceptable that you would try to jam this bill, Mr. Speaker, down the throats of the American people with 15 minutes allocated for a debate that would hurt everyday Americans, allocated to the committees of jurisdiction. 15 minutes.
I mean, look, I'll just say this. I'm old enough to remember when Nancy Pelosi famously said we had to pass the bill before we could read it. I don't believe that there are any pop quizzes embedded in this bill. The bill is everything that President Trump has been talking about since he decided he was going to seek re-election. It's everything that has been, in many ways, overwrought discussed in the media. Last word to you, Congressman. How do we get Republicans to stay on message and to make sure that Democrats have to own the fact that every single one of those Americans, millions, who got no taxes on tips, who now will have the tax relief from their overtime pay, know that there's not a single Democrat in the country that thought that was important enough for that bill to get a vote?
Yeah, I was talking with Jason Smith, the chairman of the Ways and Means Committee yesterday, and I asked him, when was the first hearing on the big, beautiful bill? Now, it got its title a little bit later once President Trump named it, but he said it's been over 2 years. And so the Republican Party has been working on the big, beautiful bill concept for 2 years. And so for anybody to say that it was jammed through at the last minute is just not, it's false. Even after the changes from the Senate, we had several days and we knew which direction they were going. But I'll tell you, the policies in the one big, beautiful bill are all of the policies that President Trump has been talking about. Taxes, keeping the Trump tax cuts in place. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime. That's a big one, especially in the manufacturing world, where you can incentivize production and you can also incentivize the employee. And then, of course, the border funding, military funding, Golden Dome, which we're building the satellites here in Fort Wayne, Indiana. There's so many strong pieces in the one big, beautiful bill, and it's going to be exciting to watch President Trump sign it into law here in about an hour.
Well, Congressman, God bless you, my friend. God bless the great people of the state of Indiana. Happy 4th to you, your family. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, sir. Great to be with you.